Look who's starting on time today. Wait, hold on. Oh gosh, we almost had no issues. Today's a big day. Today we are making a new game almost completely from scratch. The reason why is because yesterday I was inspired. I used to make content in high school for a video game called Elements the Game. And Elements the Game is a card game, and we will be making it. I happen to have a lot of stories to tell about Elements the Game. And the reason why we're starting this now is because I feel like this old project we did for the bullet hell shooter, it's good enough. I've learned a lot. I would redo it all from... it's complicated. I would redo it all from scratch if I could, but I feel like we learned a lot. Whoops. We learned how to move a guy around. We could shoot stuff. We have enemies we can spawn and then they die. I feel like we've learned a lot about like making a video game from scratch. But there's more I want to do. We haven't messed with UI yet, and I figure what better way to learn how to do a UI than a card game. So we're gonna have fun today. Now, before we even program, we need an outline. Now, this is going to be really, truly the first video game we're gonna go start to end on. We're gonna outline it. We're gonna have modules set up. I know how modules work now going into this. We're gonna have design goals. I happen to know if we're remaking Elements the Game, I don't know if I want to call it a glorified like spiritual sequel. That's what I meant to say. I don't know if I want to call it a spiritual sequel or if it is just a remake. But we are going to be making a card game, and that's going to be fun. It will be a single player card game, by the way. I want this on the record. This is not intended to be multiplayer. It is absolutely single player, player versus AI. Sassy Fajita, Overlord Vim, Hachiro, Code Toil. Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing today? So today, we're going to turn on music. Now, today, I don't even know if we're going to be doing any programming, but we will be making an outline for programming. Are we going to do an interface for cards? Or how are we going to set up the deck? And then the goal is we then start programming with this design set in mind. That's the goal today. We're going to make the full outline. Everything we're going to be programming. What music are we listening to today? I'm in an upbeat mood. Let's go Star Guardian. Let's go Star Guardian music. You can't go wrong with that. All right. So, let's, I guess I'll ask first, what do we design documents with? Does that make sense? What document do we do? We just notepad this shit? Listen, I will notepad OG this. Not even notepad plus, just straight up raw ass notepad. I can do that. But I feel like I want to draw. Now, we could do a paint document, but that feels unprofessional. UML program. Diagram? What's that? A UML diagram is a way to visualize systems and software. Oh. Using unified... Oh, yeah, okay, I can do that. Yeah, okay, I like this. Wait, how do I do it? Smart draw? Create a diagram. Oh, okay. Okay, good idea. I like it so far. You see a lot of people using this as well. We'll see. We'll keep that up just in case we want to like expand our horizons a little more. Okay, so what do we do here? Data flow, ERD. Is there a, what are we using? Activity diagram. I'm just looking at our different options here. We don't need activity. We're not going like timeline based. Class diagram maybe is what we use. What's an example? Book, entity, library, account. That's not gonna be good for like a card game, right? Component diagram? What's this? Subsystem. Okay. I don't know what all these symbols mean, but I like it. Maybe we do this one, because I can just do this all from scratch, right? Okay. Let's do this. Let's do the first thing. Let's call this Elements the Game. Do we call this Elements the Game? Elements the Game Successor. Is that how you spell successor, chat? Oh, I like I can highlight my text. Thank you. Successor. Okay, cool. All right. So what are we doing here? Actually, don't do UML. It's trash. Okay. We'll do Excelsior. Okay. Let's zoom in. Okay, kind of cool. So, what do we need for Elements the Game? It's going to be a card game. So we need some sort of, I guess we could just do that to start, right? So we need a box, and it's just going to be... How do we want to design a card game? Ignoring, we're not going to have to worry about one player versus another. It's just player versus AI. But regardless, it's still going to be designed like it's a two-player game, right? I don't need any networking yet. Cards? I guess we can just start with that. So, cards. So this is going to be... I think this is a good, perfect use case for an interface, right? Or maybe not even an interface, but maybe like virtual functions and all that, because every card is going to have like, you know, XY value or point on the screen, stuff like that. I guess we should define what things we need and then describe how they interact. What things do we need? Well, we need a lot of things. We're making a whole less. Let's just start getting stuff on the screen, and then we'll worry about like, defining them from there. So we have relics. Now we could call them permanents, but fuck that. We have relics. We have spells. We have creatures. We have shield. Ooh, no, they would be different. We have shields and we have weapons, and these are the 5 kinds of cards in the game. So if these are the 5 kinds of cards, can I just move things? Is that allowed? Can I like grab something and move it? Or is that illegal? Ew, it's permanent? Insert image, text, draw, more tools. Web embed, frame tool. Text to diagram. There we go. Okay, sweet. Okay, that's how you move stuff. Katybug, hello. Select and drag. Ooh. Ah, that's how you do it. Okay, sweet. Hello, Katybug. Welcome to the design stream or outline stream. We're not actually designing the game, because I know how the game is going to be designed. I know how the AI works, all that stuff. We're just outlining everything I have to do. So under the project Elements the Game Successor, we're going to have the cards, and then we're going to have different kinds of cards and each attribute of them. So we have spells that are sustaining, not permanent, but you know, they last more than one turn. Stuff like that. Look at those cute new husbando emotes. That's cool. Oh, cute. Oh, I like your new stuff. Katybug, what are you watching my stream for? Shouldn't you be streaming the new Final Fantasy VII game? It's like out. Although to be fair, streamers are playing it, but I don't actually know if it's available to the public for another, I don't know, 5 hours or something. But tomorrow for sure. Did you watch the Memory Safe Languages video too? Code Toil, you have reminded me 5 times to watch that goddamn video, and I promised you I would, and I lied to you. I lied to you and I'm ashamed. But hi. No, I didn't actually do it yet. It doesn't come out until tomorrow in the States. Yep, streamers are playing it though. But yeah, I guess if we're waiting to play it, you know. Okay, so we have our cards, shields, relics, spells, creatures, weapons. From this, we have like, You know what? Before we do that, we need to do something else. I just realized we have a game called Elements the Game. We need to do elements first. All right, this is where I'm gonna need a little help from you people, all right? You people, you dirty people, okay? Here's how this is gonna work, okay? We have list of elements, okay? In this, well, that's a good little website. In our program, or in our game, we're gonna have 12 classes equivalent, whatever, right? We're gonna have 12 classes. These 12 classes will each have some sort of unique attribute, but this is where I think Elements the Game original didn't actually go as far as they should. So you can splash colors and all that, but you need to be a little bit, but I want to do something a little more. I want to do something like, we'll talk about it, but like opposite elements can't be used together or something. That'd be kind of cool. How many elements do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many's in the original? There's 12, right? Gravity, earth, fire, water, time, entropy, aether, air. That's 8. Darkness, light, that's 10. Is that it? Time, aether, entropy, darkness, light, fire, water, time, air, earth. I must be forgetting a set, but there must be that. I'm not big enough streamer to get in early one day though. Oh, one day. Hey, Bug, I hope you're doing well. I know I haven't had a chance to I haven't done anything with any VTuber for like the last, I don't know, 2 months, because we've just been learning programming stuff. But I may hit everyone up for some art pieces. If we're doing a card game, I need art for the cards. I'm telling you. Okay. So we have our 12 elements, right? So let me think about this. Can I color things in this? I guess not. Okay. So we have, let's keep it easy. So we have fire and we have water. Now, here's what I think we're gonna do differently than the original Elements the Game. I think what we're gonna do is make it so that if every element is its own version of a class, right? The whole point of it is your deck will be made up of 1, 2, 3, 12 elements. And these, all of these elements will be, in your deck and you can use them however you want. But every element is its own identity. It's like a Hearthstone class. It's like a color in Magic, right? You can splash things, but they have an identity. I think what we can make unique is that if every element has an opposite element associated with it, so like fire and water. I wonder if we should design the game in a way where if you have any fire cards, you can't use water cards, or vice versa. And we can balance the game around that, because in Elements the Game, one of the biggest problems are speed bows, which is horrifically just the best way to play any version of the game, because, or even just Rainbow in general, which is all elements, right? Because there's no limitations. You can just pick the cheapest, most effective cards in every class and just not worry about mana generation because of Nova and how broken that shit is. So I wonder if we should make it in a way where you can only use the opposite element. I bet we could show that in the UI design pretty easily. So then we have air and earth. Fire would be good at permanent destruction, AoE, single target. Really good offensively, but defensively is terrible. Water's the opposite. Water has incredible defenses like permafrost shield. Fuck that shield. Oh, best shield in the goddamn game. Reduces all damage by 2 and rando freezes. Oh, RNG. Incredible defensive class. Flood is great. The problem Water has is it has a hard time ending the game offensively because it's very slow, so it needs to splash other things. I just don't want these two to work together, So we have air and earth, air being fantastic single target and creature generation. Earth being, pseudo, debatable. Earth being fantastic permanent destruction. However, it's also really good at basilisk blood, which is single target CC without killing. Its identity isn't killing the enemy. Its identity is stalling the enemy. That's Earth. whereas air is very it lacks stalling ability and it has some single target destruction, but it's more so about like spammy kind of gameplay, you know? I mean, you can always hit me up for a card. Started learning Blender today. Whoa, that's cool. I like it. I like it. So we have air, earth, heartful. Wait, what's that meme from? Heart. Somebody says that. Somebody just says heart. So we have air, earth, and then we have, entropy we'll leave last. We have light and dark. Light is associated with partly immortality, but we'll talk about that later. Partly immortality and part high HP minions. And really its defining aspect is its weapon, which is an immune weapon, which is really, really good because air has animate weapon or flying weapon, whatever you want to call it. Take your current equipped weapon, turn it into a creature. Holy cow, air and light really like working together. Earth and dark, you know what? Actually, can I just rename this? Hold on. Ooh, I like how I can erase the whole thing on accident. That's cute. Oh, actually, I can just do this. Pointer tool. Drag this. I really like this program, chat. Drag this. We'll basically make the right side the offensive types and the left side the defensive types. Although I guess earth and water do work together, but we'll ignore that for a second. Actually, now that I look at this, air and earth should switch. Earth should go over there. Air should be over here. Okay. Left side is the defensive stally types. Right side is the offensive types. So we have light, dark. What else do we have here? We have, what else do we have here? Light, dark. What was the other ones? We have time, which is stally. And then we have, aether. So here's, I don't want to call it aether though. The problem is you have time, aether, entropy, and you have another weird one. Basically, these are like abstract concepts where gravity. Oh, that's what it was. Gravity. Oh, thank you. Wow, you called that pretty well. Thank you, Overlord Vim. So we have time and gravity. This is correct. So time is very stally, but more than anything else, it has the best deck control. So if there's a card, for example, called Precognition, which is just 1 mana, draw a card, and it's used in every single time deck. It's a wonderful card. They also have a card called Sundial, which is you play it, and it's a permanent card, and your creatures don't attack. It's a stall card. So if you play Sundial, your creatures cannot attack that turn because in Elements the game, all creatures attack at the end of the turn and you cannot attack earlier. So you play it, your creatures cannot attack, but your enemy creatures cannot attack, but it's a permanent on the field. So your enemy can like, hit it, they can destroy it if they were like gravity or something. They also have a card called Eternity, which is their weapon. One of the best weapons in the game. Along with light. The whole defensive class has really good weapons. Earth especially, holy shit. Time's weapon is you can return a card to the top of that person's deck. Yes, that is as stally as you think it can be. By the way, it can do that once a turn. Now, once you draw a card, by the way, in Elements the game, and you don't have any cards in your deck, you auto lose the game. That's the gimmick there, right? So with time decks, or maybe a deck that can splash time, you have access to Eternity, the weapon. So as long as the opponent doesn't destroy it, or you make it immune, then you can, just auto bounce your deck forever and just never run out of cards. Now, Gravity is kind of the complete opposite. Gravity is starving for deck draw, and that's why I kind of want to make these exclusive because they really liked each other. Gravity is starving for deck draw, but the quality of its cards is really high. Off the top of my head, Odiug is probably one of the best creature cards in the game. Odiug was a 3 mana card where if you laid it on the field, it was 0 attack. It had like 5 health, I think. But every turn, you could spend 2 gravity mana to destroy a creature. Destroy a creature and you eat it, quote unquote. It's an Odiug, right? So you eat the creature, the Odiug gets a 1/1 counter, and you can do that once a turn. It was great creature control if you could make it immune. The thing is that it was starving for deck draw. It had a really hard time getting that. Also, Gravity Pull is another classic. Its weapon sucks, but usually Earth combos with Gravity really well because Earth's weapon needs Gravity mana to destroy a permanent every turn. Weapons are super important. A new game? Yes, Andrew, from scratch. That's what this document's for. This is gonna be the whole like design doc, basically. So we're gonna program module for cards or an interface, and then we're gonna make spells and then different kinds of spells and all that. But right now we're just making the elements, which is this game's version of like classes. If there is gravity, there should be dark matter. Oh, makes you wonder, huh? It's almost like the next element should be entropy. And then what's the opposite of entropy? It's aether, which I got these backwards. Aether is defensive and entropy is offensive. Okay, let me explain this because this is like an abstract concept. So aether is like theoretical geometry art? Is that how I should phrase that? Would Tiamat be water or fire? I don't know. What's a Tiamat? Like the League of Legends item? Also, lots of YouTube chatters today. Hello, YouTube. I see you guys lurking there. Okay, so Aether is abstract geometry art. Think like a fractal map, or like, if you had to have a creature, it would look something like a time monster, or like if time has like an Egyptian theme, like Anubis, then Aether would have like eldritch, not even eldritch beings, like if robots had to go into an element, it would go in Aether. Does that make sense? Very timey-wimey kind of stuff. We're not gonna have robots in this fucking game. I hate sci-fi, chat. I love Star Trek: The Next Generation. All right, FTL, great fucking video game. I just don't like sci-fi. Anyway, Aether is okay. The defining element of Aether is immortality. You can, if you have a creature on the field, and you can give it immortality. It cannot die, it cannot be attacked, it cannot be targeted by a spell. It is, for all intents and purposes, existing forever. If that sounds good, it is, but expensive. The downside of Aether is that its other most defining card, well, actually it has a lot of defining cards. So Aether has the best spells in the game, hands down, without a doubt. It also has the shittiest creatures in the game. So you have something like Twin Universe, which gives you an exact, it's a spell that costs like 6 mana, and you duplicate a creature on the field and all of the effects on it, and it has the same ability. It's just a perfect clone, current health and all. It's just perfect clone. It's a fantastic card. Fractal fills your hand to the max, which in Elements the game was maxed at 8 cards. You got up to 8 copies of a target creature on the field, and it can be your opponent's creature too. Your hand is full of them now. It's such a good spell. You have immortality. The problem with Aether is your creatures are terrible. You have to splash it, unless there's ways of winning with just Aether decks, but they're not that good. No psychological weapons. Oh, we'll talk about entropy in a second. Aether, terrible creatures, fantastic spells, but they're expensive, so you need to build your deck around them. Anyone who loves combo decks will love Aether. Aether is like the combo king. In fact, that's a better identity for it. Combo king, that's Aether. That's its identity. Entropy. So if you polled people, what is your single most favorite element from the original Elements of the game? It's either Aether or entropy. Entropy is the exact opposite. Entropy exists to be random. That is its job, but it's designed around it, right? So you have something called a mutate. Oh, I remember the last one. Hold on, let me just write this down before I forget. Life and death was the last 2 elements I forgot. So entropy is random, right? So you have mutation, turn a card into a 5/5 or kill the fucking creature. I hate that card. If you guys are wondering, this is why I think like Hearthstone learned from this game, because they had a legendary on release that turned a card either to a 5/5 or a 1/1. And it was almost a perfect match with that entropy card, which was a mutation, which turned a card into a 5/5 or it killed it. So I just thought that was kind of funny. Entropy is a fan favorite because of a card called Nova. Nova, sorry, I was reading YouTube chat. You guys are going off the wall over there. Babylonian creation goddess. Yes, that is a good description of Aether. Nova is you get 1 mana of every element. Now, 1 mana is not that much. The problem is if you're a rushdown deck and all you care about are 1 or 2 mana creatures from every class, just pick the best ones. It's a very powerful deck, and it kind of ruined player versus player because it was like the best deck in the game. However, the reason I want element exclusivity with, hold on, maybe this is what we should do. Just draw some lines. Should we do this? Okay. Ugh! Ooh, I hate how thick that line is. Ew. Ew. Anyway, the idea here is, why are these lines so ugly? Oh, gosh. Okay, this game, or this program does not draw X's very well. The whole point of this I want to do is that elements of the game, every element could work with everything, whereas here, I feel like the counters with each other should not work with each other. So Aether and Entropy can't work together. This balances, this is a nerf to Speed Nova. The reason why is because Aether has a fucking, God, they had a shield that was like 2 mana, and it was so stupid for Speedbow. Mr. Dick, you're actually just gonna remake the game? Well, remake the game with some touches. Like in Elements of the Game, the best decks in the game had certain combos. By excluding, like if you have water cards in your deck, you can't do fire cards. By doing that, you are nerfing that problem. We're gonna change things around a little, Fonzie. Also, nice seeing you. Hello. We're gonna change things around. We're gonna get a little Zuzubu going. A little bit of Gary's version of, oh, Ghost. A little bit of Gary's version of that, you know? So anyway, that's Entropy, very random. Life and Death. Okay, Life, kind of self-explanatory, sorta. Life has some of the best permanents in the game if you have a huge amount of creatures. So if you have like, Life's identity is creature spam and then playing permanents that capitalize on the feature spam. Think Empathy. So Empathy is one of Life's like defining cards. Every turn, you as a player gain 1 life for every creature on your side of the field at the end of every turn. Oh, here's the twist. It stacks. Oh, and in Elements of the Game, and this might change in our game, in Elements of the Game, you can have up to 6 copies of a card in a 30-card deck. You can have a lot of permanents out pretty reliably. So Life has a meme where it's like you hit it for like 80 damage and then it heals up to full every turn. And then you have to build up to 100 damage to kill it. You do a lot of it. There's a lot of damage and healing done in this game, chat. That's what it does. Life's weakness is AoE crowd control. So Fire and Life, like Fire pretty hard counters Life. But Life does pretty well if Fire... Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I'm scatterbrained. Fire's weakness, by the way, because I never talked about it, its creatures have like no HP. It's great offensively and its creatures do high damage, but all of its creatures have like 1 or 2 health, and you can fuck over them pretty good. Life, your creatures are spammy and they're cheap, but you can get a lot of creatures out. The most defining creature of Life is probably Firefly Queen. Firefly Queen, which it's technically an air card, and you use life mana to create fireflies, but it's associated with life more often. Firefly Queen is you spend 2 life mana at the end of every turn and you get a firefly that generates mana. I think if it's unupgraded, you get life. No. If it's unupgraded, you get light. No, oh God, I'm sorry. If it's unupgraded, you get fire. If it's upgraded, you get light, but we'll talk about that later. Cool, I like life. It's pretty fun. Then you have death. Death is, death wants creatures to die on any side of the field. Can we have dark mode queen? Wait, is there a dark mode in this? Hey, if there's a dark mode, you guys can tell me. I don't mind. So death is very, you want creatures to die. So death has arguably the best shield in the game in Bone Wall, which is every time a creature dies on, is it your side of the field? It must be your side of the field. That would be broken otherwise. Every time a creature dies in your side of the field, you gain 2 bone stacks. Every bone stack blocks a creature's attack. And boy, oh boy, can you get stupid with that thing. Death hard counters single huge creature Aether decks, right? Death is one of the hardest counters to Aether. And Darkness, but whatever. Darkness has steal permanent, and if you steal Bone Wall or whatever I called it, Bone Shield, if you steal that, you only steal a stack of it, not the entire thing. Wonderful shield, and the whole thing is, but the downside is you have to kill minions constantly. So Death is about like poison damage. You can stack that over time. It's right in menu. I don't see it. Oh, dark mode. Oh, is that better? Is that not blinding anymore, chat? How do you feel about this? This is better? Okay. So anyway, those are all 12 elements. Now, I don't think we're gonna add anything, but I guess we have the option to later. The whole gimmick here is that when you build a deck, if the left side is defensive, the right side is offensive, you cannot splash opposite elements in the same deck. So you can't have light cards and dark cards. You can have time cards and gravity cards. That's going to be the most significant departure from the original elements of the game, because then deck design gets a lot more difficult. Whereas before, you know, anyone with any sort of rainbow deck could splash in steel or 1 or 2 cards of steel. And it's like, okay, well, there you go. You just use steel. But here you're excluding light if you do so. So you get rid of potentially having the light weapon, which is Morning Glory. I think that's actually what it's called, Morning Glory. It's a angel 2-handed sword. You exclude having Morning Glory in your deck, and then you, or it wasn't Morning Star, that's a mace. I think it was Morning Glory. Anyway, you exclude having light cards in your deck. So Miracle is a classic one. Miracle is Light's huge, grand 12 mana spell, which is heal you to full -1, which is effectively heal you to full in this game, but it's done for like economy reasons within the game that you don't get healed to full. So those are the 12 elements. I think that's what we're gonna do. Now, where do we go next? We have our elements, we have different kinds of cards. Every element, if those are this game's version of classes, it's gonna have all of these things. Relics are just this game's version of permanents. Now, weapons, you can only have 1 of in every deck. That's it. It's a 1 of weapon. Every weapon is gonna have a generic attack, if that makes sense. It's gonna have a generic attack, and a generic spell. That's all it is, right? A weapon is just a piece of equipment that you equip that can cast a spell every turn, basically, is what it comes down to. Creatures. Every element has creatures. Creatures are usually associated with, like, it should be on the tin how powerful these creatures are. Like, fire creatures have good attack, but terrible HP. Water's creatures have low HP, low attack, but they have great effects. Gravity's creatures have huge HP, almost no attack, and very impactful effects, but you have terrible card draw as like a downside of that class. Aether's creatures have mid attack, terrible HP, terrible effects. Its spells is what balances that class. So every class would have its own identity, you know? I don't think I need to write that down here though, right? This is just stuff I know. Spells. there are going to be, well, are there different types of creatures? I don't think so. I guess there's creatures with effects and creatures with no effects, but that's kind of dumb to list that out. Spells. Okay. Spells can come in two forms, right? They can either be spells. I'm going to draw this out now. Boom and boom. These are spells that are either instant or time, or take time, or duration, I guess is a better way to put that. So that's what connects these two. Why is there two lines coming off of that? Why does it do that? That's so annoying. There. So anyway, you have spells that are permanent or instant and have a duration. Now, in this game, there is no stop step. There is no like respond step. It's your turn or it's the enemy's turn and no in between. So that's where we're at with our stuff. Can I color in things? Whoop, guess not. Holy shit, that was the wrong button. Relics. Relics that are not shields and not... Ooh. I should redo this. Shields and weapons are considered relics in the game, which is important because if darkness has steal, it's steal a target permanent, and those can include shields and weapons. I guess those would be defined under relics, huh? All right, well, let's do it. So we're gonna grab this and this and this. This will go over here. So can I just, there we go. Put that here, put that here, move that here, put that here. Perfect. Oh, beautiful. And then we have weapons. And then we have shields. And it's going to be the same thing, where these are derivatives of this. So when we design our classes or our interface or whatever, we know that these are going to be like the downstream of whatever we're making relics we want them to be, you know? That isn't to say all relics are either shields or weapons, but these can exist as relics, as cards, you know? Boom. So this will go here. This is a cool little program. I like this program. Here we go. Okay, sweet. Are we gonna have to define, is there anything in the game that can be a creature that we have to specify is not like the rest of the creatures? I don't think so. I guess we could have like the difference between like, no, because if something is spawned, that's not gonna make it inherently different, right? I think that's fine. I think that's okay. Okay, so that's how the cards are done. So let's move that here. Then we have our list of elements. Cool, cool, cool. Let's move that one more time a little bit away. This can get moved down. Then we're gonna frame it. Sweet. And this is called card module. And then this is gonna be we'll call this classes. We shouldn't call them classes, we should call them elements. Okay, cool. Elements, cards. Now those are the big two, right? Not all weapons are relics. No. All weapons are relics. Not all relics are weapons, right? Does that make sense? So if you have a weapon on the field, it can be affected by anything that can hit a relic. You can be stolen by darkness. It can be deflagration. Is that what it's called? Deflagration? or flagration, whatever. Fire has a permanent destroy spell for like super cheap. Deflag, I think is what we called it. It can destroy any target relic, which includes weapons and shields. Now in Elements the game, they said permanent is, permanence is what they called it. I don't like the name permanence because people always misspell it. So I think we're just gonna call them relics for our purposes. Is there anything else we have to, like the kind of card we make? Ah, you're renaming it to relics? Yeah, I don't want to call it permanence. I feel like it's, I feel like it's just really hard for a lot of people to spell. Damn, ignored my femboy request. Chat, it's so ugly. Don't, fine. Okay, you get it for like 2 seconds, okay? Ooh, ooh. There's your femboy. All right, that's the most you get. Feast upon the content. Okay. I think that's what every element is going to contain. I don't think it needs to get more complicated than that. So we're going to have an interface for cards, and then of that interface with virtual functions and all that. By interface, I mean the XY value of where it is on the screen. You can draw any card, if that makes sense. If it's in your deck, decks will contain a set of cards. That basically any of these are defined as a card. When you attack a card, or attack a creature, I guess. But anyway, that's the point of that. And then from there, we define different kinds of cards. And then from there, we define different kinds of relics and all that. All right. So we have our elements, we have our cards. What else do we need to define here? What would be part of the design document for the successor of Elements the game? AI is probably a big one. So I guess we should talk about that, because the game is like supposed to be single player versus AI. That's the most fun version of it. You'll need a concept of a match with players who each have a hand of cards too. Well, we would define the deck before we would define, like, you know, the match. I feel like the match part of it, the actual like order of operations in the game, is like the last thing we implement. It feels like. Well, maybe not the last thing, but like it's later on what we're doing, right? So all this making different like classes, different elements for the module for like classes or whatever, different modules for, or different, no, these would be modules. You would have, no, they would be classes under the module of cards. But anyway, that kind of deal, right? And then you would have a separate one for decks. In fact, we should probably make the deck one now, huh? So let's do another one. Let's do one for decks. So under decks, we have two different kinds of decks. We have player deck, and then we're gonna have AI decks. Or I guess we can just call it AI. Now, what's tricky here is we're gonna have different kinds of AI in the game in terms of like difficulty, not in terms of difficulty, like the AI is a better player. I mean, difficulty as in like the quality of cards, the quantity of cards, is it coherent, that kind of deal. Do you think a less interactive Hearthstone, MPG's awful land system, is good design? Oh ho ho! Also, 781 inches following, thank you! Thank you for following, mister. I appreciate it. Mwah. Your name reminds me of Twitch, just Leet. You kids today know what Leet is? I wonder. Elements the Games' fun is not from player versus player. That's not where Elements the Game shines. In the original Elements the Game, you did have PvP, but that's not where it's not what most people did. It existed, people did it, but it wasn't like the primary source of fun. The fun was playing versus the AI. That was fun. That was the shit, you know? I feel like we can design the game in a way where it's fun and fast, but I don't know if I would call it less interactive. There's one specific design critique I have of Hearthstone that I don't think they ever actually figured out how to do, that Elements the Game did really, really well. In Elements the Game, when you have a creature on the field, you can do something that activates an ability that costs mana. You can just click the creature and it does something. In Hearthstone, you can't do that. Unless they did something recently I don't know about. In Hearthstone, when you play a creature, it has a battle cry or a death rattle or something, okay? But it used, well, they may have added that, I don't know, since like many years ago. But when Hearthstone, at least when it first came out for the first 2 or 3 expansions, all you have to do in Elements the game is just click the creature and you could spend mana to do something, right? It was something that was super easily designed because you could see the cost of it. If you couldn't do it, you couldn't activate the ability, you know? And it's something that I think Hearthstone like really limited their design space because of it. So stuff like that adds to the design space, along with you making your own deck and stuff. The land design in Elements the game is, it has its ups and downs, right? It's a choice, right? The game just has to be balanced around whatever choice you make. We could make this game, you know, not have like auto generate mana every turn, you know? It's not that difficult to implement something like that, just with that design space in mind. However, Elements the game does assume, at least the original, does assume you have to spend time playing cards to enable you to play certain classes, you know? If you want to play Aether spells and that broken ass motherfucking Twin Universe spell, if you wanted to play a Fractal deck or something, you needed to invest in Aether lands, and it was really heavy on the deck, you know? If you have a 30 card deck, and it was one color like fire, you needed 12 fire pillars. That's what you had in that game. You had pillars, and then upgraded versions were towers. You needed 12 fire pillars to make it like feel good and consistent, right? So that's more than a third of the deck. We'll round down and say a third of the deck. Is it fun to play with a third of your deck being lands? I think it can. But if you only stick with one color, I can see how that'd be a problem. But you get to the point in the AI decks that we're about to talk about where you can't have one color, you know? That'll get you through like level 3 AI. But when you get to the false god level, or what do they call it? Half-bloods later? They have like an in-between step they added. When you get to false god level, there is no single color that kills a false god. Unless you get like really lucky or something. You just can't do it. No one element has all of the tools in the game to like beat a false god, which requires a very well-balanced deck, you know? That's the goal of it anyway. And even if you do have a well-balanced deck, there is no well-balanced deck that beats all false gods. There is a certain element of like, no matter what you do, there's going to be at least a couple of false gods that you have a bad matchup against. You can win, it happens, but more often than not, it's a tough matchup. That's the goal. And in that sense, if you're forced to splash other colors and make that design choice as a player, hopefully it's fun to do that. And by doing that, it forces you to think a lot about lands and how much of each land you want. I think that's fun. Plus, there's nothing more stupid than Earth's dumbass earthquake spell, which is destroy 3 pillars. But they have to be the same kind of pillar. So if you're a clever asshole, you could play like your multicolor deck or whatever. Earth hard counters mono decks because you can destroy their pillars constantly, right? But if you have any sort of splash, even just one element, Earth suffers a lot if they carry something stupid like 6 earthquakes or something, right? Because you just don't have enough earthquakes to handle that, because you'll earthquake a pillar, but it's only one pillar, and the enemy still has another kind of pillar on the field because you don't have 2 earthquakes or something. It's just something that can balance that out, you know? Because there's a whole false god that has a bunch of earthquakes and shit. I got Uno. I win. Pillars of Civilization. What? Nathir, hello! So anyway, we have different kinds of AIs in the game. Now, the difficulty, the AI itself will not change. But there are different versions of AI. So you have Boom, you have Boom, you have Boom, at least those 3. So you have your learning level, you have your AI 3 level, and you have your false god level. Now, learning level is like a trivial win. It's not that rewarding. It's just meant for you to like maybe try out an experimental concept, you know? AI 3 is your go to, I want to grind gold because it's fun and I have an extremely fast mono deck like Mono Life or something that can end the game in like 4 turns or something stupid, right? Mr. Dick is on a 3 stream. Oh, look at me, but not too much. Oh, that's a cute emo. Mop Blush. That's adorable. I wish I had cuter emotes. And with that, I'll go make something to eat. Oh, hope it's good. Was he a false god? Well, what's an example of a false god? I keep saying that. So AI3 is like your go-to, like you want to farm and you want to just play really, really fast for like 5 turns or something. False gods. So this is like the end game of Elements the game. Once you have a deck and you think you're hot shit, you go into a false god and you get your ass whooped. Of the false gods, there are 13 of them. There are 13 false gods. One of each element, or excuse me, just to be clear, but I say one of each element, I don't mean mono decks. I mean one of each element as in they make the best version of that and it's really fast and they have unique mechanics that the player doesn't have, not in terms of cards, but in terms of just player quanta, but we haven't talked about that yet. And they can splash super easily, you know? They have to follow the same deck building rules as the player, so you cannot like, use light and dark cards in the deck, but it's just really, really good. But the identity is of the element. So fire, gonna have a bunch of permanent destruction. It's gonna have a bunch of like creatures that are high attack, low health, that kind of stuff, right? You have gravity, which is black hole, right? Consumes 3 of all quanta in the game. So if you have like a rainbow deck, it fucks you. But if you have like a 3 element deck, like the other one was like fire, earth, and fire, earth, aether was like a 3 element combo that you could kill false gods with. If you have something like that, gravity is actually a pretty good matchup because, you know, you didn't have to worry about black hole. The 13th one, by the way, is motherfucking God, what was his name? I hated that dude so goddamn much. He was such a hard counter to the deck I played. I want to say it was Butterfly. I think that was the name of the 13th one. It's Butterfly, which is just a speedbow deck. It just has supernovas everywhere from entropy, and it just shoves out a bunch of just high quality minions of every element. And then it had like quanta towers, so it generated random mana, but it was very cost effective. It had fucking permafrost shield. Oh god, I hated that goddamn shield from water. Anyway, but it was hard countered by, well, one, you carrying your own black holes if you actually carry that card, which is not very common, but you can. It was hard countered by the same fire, earth, aether deck because you could make a fire golem immune and then grow it with earth mana, but that's a very unique deck. Versus the traditional entropy life rainbow false god killer, where you would have a fallen elf, which was an entropy card, and for 1 or 2 life mana every turn, you could mutate one of your own creatures, and there is a chance with mutation that you get an ability that has a random ability with a random mana cost, but the creature grows in strength. And that's like the upgraded version of like mutation. So you pick a card on your side of the field, it gets a random ability, it gets bonus stats, and the creature type is completely random. And the ability is completely random. It just upgrades the card to be better. It could have permanent destruction like Earth and like Earth's weapon. It could do a lot of things, but it is random, so it needs time. And then you would make an immune kind of deal. It was that's how you made that deck. Okay. So that's the false god. Of the false gods, we're gonna have 13 of them, but we're not gonna document that now. So what's the goal here? Well, player is gonna have one deck that does all of this. Well, one deck, you know what I mean. It's gonna build a deck that's available to fight all 3 of these. And when all the elements combine, you get Captain Planet. No, you get dumbass Supernova rainbow decks. That's why Supernova, by the way, is an entropy card that was spend 2 entropy, get 2 of every element. It was the upgraded version of Nova, which gives you 1 of everything with no cost. Entropy Supernova. Oh, here's the twist. They nerfed that shit. By they, I mean he. Zanzarino was his name. He was the developer. He nerfed that hard. You couldn't use more than 1 Supernova on the field without having a fun little, I think he called them malignant cells. you would just lose the game. It was just a fun little, like, not an Easter egg, but it was deliberately punishing people who built Speedbow. But the game was already dead at that point. Are you figuring out your mechanics overview or waterboarding yourself in nostalgia? No, I'm just talking through my thought process as we, like, make everything, you know? Basically, the whole point of today, because we're not doing any programming today, spoiler alert, the whole point of today, we're laying out the entire design document, so that way tomorrow and until we're done with the game, we can just reference this design document and be like, okay, I need to make today the card module with a card interface, and then we're gonna have 3 classes that inherit those values. Oh look, and we're gonna have to make a shields today. Okay, well, we'll inherit from relics, which inherit from cards, and then we'll build shields, like that kind of deal. It piecemeals the program. No programming? Oh, we'll get back to more. Hey, listen, the category is called programming and game development. This is game development, okay? So that's kind of what we're doing today, is like everything that's in the game. Is there anything that we need to talk about else about decks before we continue? So we have our player decks, we have our AI decks. I'm trying to think about if there's anything we need to discuss when it comes to player decks. We don't care about max size yet. We don't care about like how many cards can be in a deck. We don't need to worry about player versus player because the game's not going to be designed around that. It's going to be designed around player versus AI. I guess not. Yeah, I guess not. Okay, well, that's it for that. So that needs to get made. Deck module. Did I call it card module? Okay, based. Elements module. Okay, sweet. So those are all different modules. Now, what are we doing next? We have decks, we have cards. We have a list of elements. I think now we have to worry about... We need to worry about UI. UI is going to be the big one, right? UI is everything in a card game. Do I have to make that in the design document, though? Or is that something that's kind of self-explanatory? Like, I don't need to list, like, options and all that, right? Although, I guess if I'm making the goddamn game, I probably should have some sort of, like, talk about it, right? So we're going to have our... Do I care? Main menu. And in that, what are our things we're going to be doing in here? We have our options. Play the game. Not even play the game. Play AI choice. And then, play AI choice. I'm trying to think about what else we need in like the main menu. Play AI choice. I'm not going to have an option to buy cards with real money. All the cards you earn are going to be the cards you have to earn in the game. I wonder if this means that we need to worry about people fucking around with the game. I mean, I could have like a basic network check, right? Where it's like, we could have like a check in like the file that contains all of the card's information. And if that's been tampered with, like you don't get to play online if we ever implement that, but you get to play at home or something. That'd be a pretty easy one. It'd be easy to like fake, but you know, who's gonna fake that in this? Who's gonna cheat? Nobody's gonna cheat, I believe. Is there anything else a main menu would be concerned with besides play the game and options? I'm not gonna have like an invisible multiplayer to like disable. Oh, deck, build a deck, duh. I think those are like the big 3, right? So same thing down here. Learning, AI 3, False God are like the big 3. Options, resolution, all that stuff, right? Resolution. Really? You can't just resize the text? Ugh, disgusting. Resolution. There we go. And then sound, which we'll talk about later. We have to make that module too. Sound. Is there anything cool we want to implement? Like, I don't want like a dark mode version, but I mean, I guess we could do like color options. So what we could do is, what if, just an example here, what if on the card in the descriptor you had like text like ability do something? What if in the options menu you could actually change the color of like ability or something, and the do something text could be like its own color or something? Does that make sense? I wonder how difficult that would be to implement. It shouldn't be hard, right? That'd be kind of cool. How many card games let you choose what color every effect or every like text color would look like? That'd be kind of neat. I guess I could do something like, if you really wanted to, the backgrounds of the cards. Hell, if it's a single player game chat, if that's the way it's designed, and I know it's not gonna have multiplayer in it, couldn't I do something like you can just change every card? Not the terms of ability, obviously, but like you could like change the art, I guess, but that's kind of ruins it, right? Maybe you could change like the splash of the card or something. Anyway, so that's an option. Resolution, sound, color. What else do we need in our options menu? I guess that's like the big three, right? Oh, well, it's a design doc. It's meant to be changed, you know? Allowing the user to modify the game colors may be one of the easier pieces to develop. Yeah, I think that'd be kind of cool, right? Play AI choice, you build your deck. Is this where we have limitations on deck building? No, that would go here. That's why we have space there. I guess we can do stuff here like size. Ooh, that was ugly. Wait, give me access to the module. Dick. Size. Layers, send backwards, bring to front, bring forward, send to back, duplicate, trash, link. I guess link is what we're doing, right? Oh no, it is combined. Okay, sweet. Thank you, game. Thank you, Mr. Deck Module, for combining those. Okay, so then we have size. Is there anything in here that... Oh, shuffling. That needs to be its own thing, huh? Shuffle. Ooh, would that go in our deck building module though? Or not our deck module? Would that contain any sort of shuffling mechanics? I guess it would, right? It would contain some sort of shuffle mechanics here, right? I just don't know if it would go under player, I guess. I almost want to make it like its own like thing, you know? Whoops. Whoops. Stop! Please! I can't control Z that. Really? Oh, there we go. Jeez. That was cruel. Okay. So there. No, not there. Don't do that. There. Now I think shuffle, it's going to have its own thing and it's going to be bigger. That'll also go under here just separately, you know? So that'll go under our deck building module. or deck module, because AI needs its decks too. So I think that would go there. We have our card module elements. We have our build deck and all that. Build deck would go here, and then it would reference that deck here when we go to our deck module, you know? So I think we're ready to frame this. This is just the menu module. Okay, now we have our menu, we have our card setup, we have our decks, we have our elements of those decks, like the classes. Is there anything else we're gonna want to add? There must be, right? Sound is obviously like a much more complicated than just one little thing, but we can get there. Oh, I guess we could have one for sound, huh? Okay, that is kind of based. What's that red line doing there? Stop. Okay, so let's have a sound module. Okay, this sound module here. What do we need for sound? We need, oh my goodness, we need so many things. We need a lot of little things, like creatures getting attacked and all that. I guess we should list it out here, but maybe not. I actually don't know. Because if we did that, then we would have like, okay, well, now we have creatures. What are we going to have in creatures, you know? I feel like for our purposes, this is fine enough. Is there anything else I'm going to add? Oh, the play field, I guess, would be a good place to do it. We can call it field. The field module. What's going to happen? Well, oh, this is kind of important. So we have, what will this contain? Are there different kinds of fields? Yes, there are different fields. There's going to be, well, let me think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's going to be at least 5 fields that are going to get duplicated on each side. So you have a field for where the creatures stand on the field. You have a field, well, the play area. Then you have a field for where permanents go. Then you have a field for equipment. Then you have a field for your hand. And then you have a field for showing the element that you have built up, because elements build over time, right? It's not like it resets every turn. So I think I define field as some part of the play area. And it will contain all of the play area. So I guess we can write those down then, huh? So we actually have 5. So we have, I'm gonna move this. Rabbit, please. So we actually have 5 areas. We have hand, field, or creatures, relics, equipment, whoops, equipment, and mana, or whatever you call it. Quanta. We want to get specific, so we have hand, creatures, relics, equipment, and then I don't want to call it mana, we can call it quanta. Okay, and that'll be our like big 5, you know. Okay, where's my lines? One line there. Now, what's funny is that I say field. I should call this fields. Now, I say that, but it's not as simple as Hearthstone, where you just have like 7 creatures on the field. What's unique about Elements the game that I think is truly unique is whereas most card games, you have a creature on the field that have like a voice effect and it's a card, right? You feel the weight of the card, you know? In Elements the game, it's almost the opposite. It's like you're building an army. It's like you don't care about like one firefly on the field. You care about like how many fireflies you have, you know? I feel like that's why it's important. So creatures, you can have, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in the first row. Then you would have 10 in the top row, 10 in the bottom. So you'd have 29 creatures max. I count the rows there, 9 in the middle, 10 on the top, 10 on the bottom, and you'd have those 3 fields as like the max number of creatures. But here's the twist. Something like, whoa, something like water is gonna have unique effects that change that, right? One of water's spells, flooding, is you disable your opponent's top and bottom of their creature playing field. That's not broken generally because, you know, you're building an army, but you can have some strong soldiers if you catch my drift. It's just useless for the first 9 creatures they play, which is usually you play stuff early that grows throughout the game if you're that kind of deck. So flooding doesn't really affect you. It just is useless against the first 9 creatures on the field. So stuff like that can change the state of the field. So we have to keep that in mind. That's why I'm specifying different fields here. Nothing exists like that for playing relics, but you can have a max number of relics on the field, which I think is, I'm gonna say 15 relics is the most you can have, but you can have a lot of fucking relics out. Like you can have 6 empathies, 6 nightfalls, 6 of every pillar or something stupid. You can have a lot of different kinds of permanents out, you know? Then you have your equipment field, which is just your shield, your sword, and your quantum. Oh. Yeah, I mean, UI-wise, it would go next to equipment, but I guess it's not quanta, is it? So sword and shield are like the big one. Yeah, it's just those 2. But those are very impactful equipment, you know? They are treated as relics for the purpose of like card design, because they're just an offshoot of that, but they are very important for like identity of the deck and how you use them. They're just very cost efficient, you know? Every deck's gonna have them. Sola, hello! Mwah. How you been, Sola? How have you been, you and Melly doing? She moved to Canada yet? So quanta is just keeping count of all the quanta you have on the field in a game with 12 elements, of which you can have quanta from every element. Yeah, quanta, you want a field for that. So I think those are going to be the 5 states of like where things are on the field. Is there anything else I need to consider? Obviously you're going to have your enemy, but that'll be its own. It's going to be the same fields, but just flipped 180 degrees. She's visiting again next winter. Ah, cute. Well, she hasn't visited yet, but that's okay. I am great. Oh, did you see that Twisted Fate nerf? They nerfed his AP ratios by 25%. Fucking AP motherfucker. Ah, AD Twisted Fate is what was broken. All right. I think that's it for what we're gonna have on the field. I don't think there's anything that can happen that isn't in one of these 5 fields, you know? Do I want something for life? Is that something I should be worried about? That would go in the quanta field, wouldn't it? Let me draw us like a separate box here. We'll also have life, and we'll connect that to quanta, because that'll be where it goes. And it's just, it might as well be tracking the same thing, like mechanically. Elements the game? Yes, elements the game. Oh, it's gonna be great. Oh, what a great. Oh, it's gonna be awesome, Chad. Shouldn't even be that hard to make, really. A lot of it's like design, but I can have you guys help me with that. Like in terms of like the kinds of card to make. Because a lot of you have more experience in that. So this will be game field module. So we have a main menu, we have a game field, we have our decks, we have our cards, we have our elements, which is our classes. Is there anything else we need to consider right now in terms of design? In terms of like an obviously we need to get into the nitty gritty here. Like we have just a little thing here called sound. Well, obviously the game's it's gonna be complicated, but still, it's like there's a lot here. Building a deck. But in terms of just like overall, just things we have to do to make the video game. Are you gonna have online multiplayer? No, it's gonna be designed around player versus AI, but theoretically we could. I just have no experience with like networking, you know? I don't know how to implement networking into a video game, But if we are able to figure that out, I don't see why not. It's just not designed around it. Same with the original elements of the game. It had PvP, but it wasn't designed around it. I guess we could make the argument, in elements of the game, you could do something called top 50, which is player versus AI, but the AI played a deck that was played in PvP and won the most. So the top 50 most successful win rate decks in PvP would be in the top 50, you know? You could have a mod where you play against number 1 and we can stream our boards. Ooh. And manage damage and stuff ourselves. Well, at that point, why not just have networking, you know? It shouldn't be that hard. Like, the way we designed the game, it's already gonna be player versus player, except we're gonna have an AI handle the enemy deck, right? The only difference is, by doing networking, we'll just build up a set of actions that just happen at the end of the turn. But that's fine, right? You already see that. Because I want to fight you in that game. It sounds fun. Oh, yeah. Oh, but we're going to play this, bucko, pal, friend. Oh, hell yeah, we're playing this. I just don't know what we would... Menu module. I guess we need an AI, don't we? Yeah, okay. We'll make the AI module here. So... all of the game's AI is going to be operating under the same module. So I guess we can just make that now, right? AI. So AI is going to have unique things about it, right? Which is going to be creatures, relics, spells. What did I call them? Yeah, spells. And ooh, I should have something for rewards, huh? Probably under menu. It should be, let me draw lines here. We should have a separate thing here for the reward screen, which is going to be its own thing. When you win against any AI, you get some sort of reward. False gods give the best, obviously. So we would have something here called rewards. Boom. Sweet. So this is the AI. So how does it play creatures? Luckily, I know how the AI works in this game already, and that's the hard part, you know? I know how often it plays spells. I know how it plays relics. I know when it uses spells to steal a relic. I know all that already. So luckily, the actual implementation is not going to be that difficult. Well, maybe the implementation is the difficult part, but the actual design of it, I know how it works. AI module. AI. Player decks. AI decks. Yeah, it's different kind of AI. I'm a womb your ass, maybe. You win the AI. So AI module. That's going to be the same. Then we have different kinds of decks. This will be just raw data input, you know? False God will have its own unique kind of mechanics. We can make that later. In terms of like... In terms of just like, instead of getting 1 quanta per turn automatically like players do, you get 3 quanta per turn, but it's minor. This can't be the whole game. Are games this simple? It must be more. I must be missing something here. I guess we could have, well, no, card module is going to handle all the art and stuff, right? The texture module and the sprite module, that's so trivial, right? Because color gets taken care of there. So maybe we can draw out a card or something, like physically, and then just have like everything we need. So something like... So something like lines being drawn here, so like... this is like art, something like that. This will be splash. Welcome back, Cotoil. Hello. So we have our splash, we have our art. Now this text can change, so bear with me a second. We're gonna have this orange. Ability. Can I underline that? Of course not. Why would we? Do I want to center that? Maybe. Actually, you know what? We're just gonna scribble here. Well, how do we want our UI to look on the card itself? We could have ability over here, text. We could have ability in the middle, but what if it has more, and then text, but what if it has more than one ability? What if we don't have any space down here? What if this whole thing is just art? And when you highlight it, then you get a separate box that explains any abilities it might have. Is that a better way to do it? So you would have a border of a card, and then you would have a picture that takes up a majority of the card, and the actual text box explains like what it is and everything. Because this game can't be played in person, right? Nobody's gonna like print these off and like play in person. It's impossible. The game is designed like to be played online. I think that might be a better way to do it. I don't even want this here. I want like, yeah. Hold on, let me draw that. Okay, expand this down and left. Something like that. And then, I'll have a separate one here. Make it white though. Yeah, because you don't need text on the card, right? This is like a old school thing. Maybe you display just a list of abilities. The model has more info, so at least you know something about it before opening an info model. No, I don't like that. I feel like the game can be made in a way. Oh, we need a name spot. Hold on. I feel like the game can be made in a way where we can, you know, take that into account, if that makes sense. Shrink that down just a little. So up here you have some text. I need a drawing tool. Okay, and then this is gonna be, oops, white line, white line. We draw a thing here. And this is just gonna be name. There we go. And then this is gonna be info. And this is just pointing to this. And this only gets highlighted when you highlight the card, or only ever shown. And then in here, you're gonna have different kinds of things. So in here, you're gonna have orange text, and this is ability text. And obviously you can change the color in the options menu, which seems like it wouldn't be that hard to implement. Do I want to be ambitious and have flavor text? I don't know about that. Okay, and then we're gonna have pink. And then maybe like another ability. So then something like, oops, line there. This is gonna be ability. This is gonna be boop, boop. Text, and this is gonna be boom. This will also be called ability. So it implies there's different kinds of abilities with different text colors. And then in our main menu, the goal is to have the player like adjust whatever colors they want anywhere. I prefer wingdings. Yeah, I prefer your dings. Make a little icon next to the name when you click it, the info pops up. You think so, Melly? Is that good though? I feel like, I don't know if I want that though. Like, I don't know if I want like press the corner of the card to open what the card does. I kind of just want it where you highlight a card, this whole thing pops up with some description on the side, you know? I think I like that more than like having like press a button for the info, you know? And this whole thing is called card inspect module, for lack of better verbiage, but you guys know what I mean. Okay, sweet. So that's our little inspect module, you know? Is there anything else we need to worry about right now? What is his chat? Don't be weird. What's up? Hello. Melly, you're kind of cute. Guys, can I just say, I am a god at League of Legends. I've been playing League of Legends in a little bit of my spare time now that it's opened up a little. Gary the Goo Boy. Look at this. Look at this action. Loss, win, win, loss, win, win, loss, loss, win, win, loss, loss, win, win. See? I am consistent, okay? Look at this 1.47 KDA. Oh, it's beautiful, chat. And to be fair, I die for objectives, chat. So when you see this here, this is like my 9 deaths is 9 turrets killed, okay? I'm a goddamn god at Twisted Fate. I don't care how much he's nerfed. You want to see mine? Yeah, show me yours. Hell yeah. So is there anything else we need to immediately care about in terms of design? Like, before we actually start programming the game, like if I went through and we had a bunch of different modules here, is there anything design-wise I need to worry about? We're not going to have a bunch of inheritance issues where like the card's ability text is actually a card itself. We're not going to have like inheritance. Like in League of Legends, everything's a minion, even Jarvan's wall or Anivia's wall, or turrets are a minion. Like the Nexus is a minion. That's like inheritance nightmare. We're not going to do that, okay? We're going to design it cleanly. What's your UGG? What do you got? Janna? Ivern? Oh, Janna ranked solo. That character is so overpowered. Janna is so overpowered, but nobody plays her, so everybody's just kind of whatever. But yeah, you've been winning a lot. Emerald 4? Some of us are almost there. Good job on Emerald, though. Damn, whooping ass at Janna, huh? Anyway, we have our AI, deck, game field, menu, card, inspect. Elements that we're going to feature. We're not going to have, unlike Elements the game, which has an other element for like crappy weapons and shields nobody uses, and the Quanta Tower, which some people use a lot of. I feel like we can find a more elegant solution than that. Well, I guess my question is, since we're on the topic of like elements that make up, like medieval elements that make up the world, like water and fire, earth and air and light and dark, is there anything we want to add? Because now's the time to add it. So I guess my question to you guys, in terms of like design space for like stuff we can do, is there any elements we want to add to this before we continue? Because now would be the time. I'm trying to think if there's like anything off the top of my head. Like we could have something like something vague like law, but then again, time is law, so it's not really fair. Or aether is law, maybe a better interpretation. I don't know. Time, space, gravity are all related. Well, not in this game. Time is generally considered like, you know, the version of law in this game. Gravity is generally considered like maybe time is like fleeting. Maybe that's more of its interpretation. Egyptian for like its creature types, like scarabs, that kind of deal, right? And then gravity is more of like modern, like Armaggio or Odiug, like that kind of creatures, right? Where it's very like new and like recent might be a better way to put it. And what else did you say? Time, space, gravity. There is no version of space in this game. There is aether, which is like abstract. Like it's just the element of abstract, and entropy is the element of like randomness, I guess. Aether and entropy are diametrically opposed, right? My dumbass ex signed my ass up for the... Ah! You're gonna change a lot of this during Element? What? No, the whole point of this is that we don't change a lot. I want to be able to like go through. It's like, okay, this is what we're doing today. We're making spells, and of those spells, some will be instant cast, like Fireball. Like, oh, and in this game, by the way Fireball, because every card game has their broken version of Fireball, right? In this game, Firebolt is what it is called. Firebolt is based on how much fire mana you've made over the game. So with no fire mana, like I think it costs like 2 mana, you do 3 damage, which is like horrible for a card damage. But every 10 mana you do, and you cast it again. So it does 6 damage. And then if you have 100 mana, it does 30 damage and that kind of deal, right? There are one-shot builds out there that do that, but you know, you gotta build up to. You're building like 300 mana. Which takes like 15 turns or something stupid. Probably won't see you for a bit. No problems, Cummings Turbo. Do your thing, chicken wing. So I guess my question to you guys, is there anything obvious I'm missing right now in terms of like things we have to add to the game that we're gonna be adding to the game, I guess? I must be missing something obvious, right? We have a menu, we go build a deck, then we play against an AI, we go into the game field, we draw a card from our deck, the AI does something, we inspect the card that the AI plays, these are the classes we have to choose from. We could do the reward system, that needs to be made. Because that would be separate from everything. Oh, rewards are here. Okay, never mind, we already accounted for that. I guess that's it for now then, huh? I mean, we're not starting today though. Although to be fair, Final Fantasy VII is being streamed right now and I do want to watch it. We could stream a long time tomorrow when we actually get started. Because we can kind of salvage what we can from the bullet hell shooter, like making textures and resolution and sprite making. And then maybe tomorrow, I think tomorrow when we start the game, all we're gonna do is have like the card module first, where we have an interface for cards and then we build cards from there. So one creature and then we just play the creature. I don't even know if playing is the right word, but stuff like that. I don't think there's anything too obvious I'm missing here. Set up the project. I think this... I'm just thinking. Sorry, I know I'm not like making good content right now. I recognize that. That's why we only have 17 viewers today. But I'm just thinking in my head about like how we're going to be organizing the project. It's going to be the same as the bullet hell shooter, right? We're going to have like modules. I'm going to have a JSON file for all of the making of the cards and all the info and stuff. Oh, you know what I should do here? is having abilities before I forget. Because I will forget. We need an abilities. Because if I don't do that, we're going to have an issue where I forget to add that, which is directly tied into creatures. There we go. Beautiful. I love it. Let's save it. Save to disk. No. What? Save to disk, and we'll call it ETG successor. Excalcidraw. Oh, it's a unique file type? Oh my god, I gotta export it. Successor, current design. Save as a PNG. Dark mode? Yeah. Embed scene? Nah, just one time, so it's fine. PNG. Minimize. Grab. Put here. Okay. I think that's what we're doing right now. So let me, in the Discord. Boop. General chat. Oh no, Java in shambles. Let me do that. And let me do that. So you guys can fuck around with it if you want to. All right. So that's going to be it today. Tomorrow, we're actually programming. We're actually making the game from scratch. Whole new project. Remember, I stream every single day, 4:30 p.m. PST, PDT. I don't know what it is right now. Who are we rating anyone? Casca channel. Oh yeah, baby. All right, everyone, be nice to Casca. He is shy and he is, you know, he's youthful. Okay, just be nice to him. All right. Tomorrow we're having fun. Have a good night. Have a good evening. Have we rated yet? Wait for it. Goodbye.